Li Tiangang's voice cuts through the air, cold and unyielding. His words reveal his frustration with a young man too proud to acknowledge past mistakes. He'd extended an olive branch in the form of a letter, but it went unanswered. Now, he decides it's time for others to take matters into their own hands, let the Demon Kings teach him the true meaning of cruelty and despair. A stern advisor urges caution, citing the young man's impetuous nature, but Li Tiangang dismisses the concern, focused instead on the brewing storm in the Eastern Territory. Tensions run high as forces from Longmen and Northern Yan stir trouble in the region, making the political landscape volatile. The sudden arrival of a messenger bird disrupts the moment. With a swift gesture, Li Tiangang retrieves a scroll and his mood shifts as he reads it. The message carries news of a looming threat, and the recollection of a past debt tied to the young man resurfaces, unsettling him. The burden of unresolved ties and the weight of old promises hang in the air as emotions rage, discomfort, and perhaps a sense of obligation gnaw at his mind. 4 Demon Kings emerged, not 3, and with that revelation, the storm around Heavenly Gate Pass intensified. Yet reinforcements from Tianji Tower and a formidable second uncle turned the tide, driving back the darkness. Even afar, Li Tiangang felt the weight of the battlefield, torn between pride and unease. The youth, once underestimated, now stood tall without leaning on the Li Namian unshakable resolve, forging allies from sheer will alone. 3 years? Then break away? Li Tiangang whispered, cold glint in his eyes. He knew the stubborn flame in the boy's heart would burn through all obstacles. The Li family's shame in Qingzhou still echoed. He would not let such disgrace happen again. Once the war in Liangzhou settled, he vowed to tear up any so-called pact and drag him back. Li Hao would not sever ties so easily. Far away, in a swamp cloaked in filth and shadow, sinister figures watched. Poisonous eyes of a Jiao dragon gleamed beneath the surface, and cloaked agents of mystery spoke of Li family movements. Fear had already seeped into the mighty clan, all from whispers in the dark. The game was shifting, and the players were moving into place. Li Hao's legacy teetered on the edge of destiny. In the shadow of dark robes and whispered secrets, an unsettling figure in black lets out a strange laugh, his forked tongue darting out in a serpentine manner, provoking a mix of disgust and curiosity from his companions. As the others look on in distaste, one of them harshly criticizes the habit, eager to transcend their former selves and embrace a more majestic dragon-like form, something the laughing figure has no interest in. I seek to become a great serpent, one that devours dragons, he retorts with a sinister grin, knowing full well his words stir unrest among the group. Yet, their conversation quickly shifts as they discuss matters of greater consequence, the ongoing war against the forces of Li Tiangang. Though the Mudjiao remains lazily unperturbed, the others talk strategy, their words laden with old grudges and whispered hopes of triumph. They speak of their enemy's power, of how the Holy Palace and its ancient rivalries will soon converge upon the Eastern Territory, setting the stage for a battle that may change the tides of their ongoing conflict. The shifting winds of fate are palpable, and the unknown journey ahead promises to bring either downfall or unprecedented conquest. As they set their sights on the north, the tension builds, the air thick with both rivalry and the hope of victory. The plans of these shadowy figures move ever forward, their dark ambitions lurking beneath their calm exteriors, as the world itself braces for the battles to come. In a world teeming with power struggles, alliances, and betrayals, Li Hao embarks on his journey with determination and wisdom. As he crosses the Heavenly Gate Pass and enters deeper territories, the once peaceful surroundings are now marred by demons, whose presence grows ever more ominous. While facing his own internal battles, Li Hao continues to grow stronger, determined to not only overcome physical enemies, but also the spiritual forces that bind them. Alongside him, Xia Xianglan watches in silence, her journey of learning and observation unfolding in the shadow of her master's strength. As Li Hao sets out on a solitary mission to confront the remnants of the Demon Kings, his path is filled with deep reflections on his own potential and the sacrifices necessary to attain true mastery. With each new step, he faces challenges that push him closer to the zenith of his power, all while understanding that his fight is not just against demons, but against the very essence of existence itself. On his silent march, Li Hao effortlessly dismantled 4 formidable beings of the heavenly human realm. Their territories erased with a single wave of his hand. Without a word, he swept through the lands they once ruled, lands stretching 100 miles, now flattened and empty. Arriving at the desolate Wanshan Mountains, once vibrant and now lifeless, he found only a few lesser creatures wandering without thought, the rest either vanished or consumed by the echoes of a battle long past. Caverns reeking with decay line the slopes, their walls carved by desperate hands. Above, ruined banners fluttered like ghosts of fallen pride. As he advanced, Li Hao unleashed his divine awareness, scanning every inch of the territory. Lesser foes barred their teeth and met instant judgment, vanishing like mist before a storm. He reached the central peak, once the seat of the Wanshan Demon King, crowned by a grand stairway and a palatial hall atop the summit. Sculpted beasts once roared in silent glory, dragons and phoenixes etched at their feet, now they crumbled beneath Li Hao's presence, his strength enough to fracture worlds. "So, you weren't in such a hurry after all," he murmured coldly, eyes sweeping across the empty. The two small demons, terrified, met their swift end, their bodies dissolving into bloody water before they could even react. The demonic essence that remained was inhaled by a mummy-like demon who scoffed, criticizing the audacity of these lowly beings. This incense they burned was not just ordinary, it was infused with demonic flesh, granting power to those who inhaled it. A seductive woman, with the lower half of a centipede, approached with a proposition to flee, suggesting they seek refuge in northern Yan. But the mummy demon was skeptical. He feared the Dragon Lord's wrath should they abandon their post, especially since the Dragon Lord might be seeking refuge in Dragon Gate, a place of unimaginable power. The centipede woman, eager for the opportunity to gain more power, agreed to follow her husband's plan, her eyes glinting with anticipation. As the mummy demon prepared to embrace her, a sudden shift in the atmosphere caught his attention. The demon's gaze sharpened, realizing something was amiss. On the Taoist temple grounds, a young man sharply dressed stood still, quietly observing the scene unfolding before him. The mummified demon, upon recognizing him, was struck with terror, remembering his past encounter with the young man's unmatched strength. A mere fighter from the three immortal realms had no hope against him. Yet here he was, daring to pursue the demon so far from their home. The seductive centipede woman, confused yet intrigued, attempted to charm the young man, but her husband's fear sent a chill through her. Li Hao, unfazed, calmly requested more information about the Dragon Gate. The mummified demon, desperate, urged the woman to act, but before she could, Li Hao's silent power exploded. With a flick of his sword, her head was destroyed in an instant, leaving behind only the remnants of her divine soul. The mummified demon, stunned and unable to even move, found himself trapped in a moment of dread. Li Hao's unwavering presence spoke volumes. She was not here to negotiate. He was here to shatter illusions. The chilling aura of death seeped into the air, causing the mummified demon's heart to race. The strength of the young man before him seemed far beyond what he had encountered before. Had he reached the level of the Four Stands realm, such a possibility felt impossible, yet the pressure from imminent death made him spill everything he knew. With little hesitation, Li Hao released a sword chi that shattered the demon's body and obliterated its divine soul. His actions toward the seductive centipede demon were no different, as he summoned the forces of nature to erase her existence entirely. Despite the mummified demon's attempts to unleash his true power, the difference in their strength was insurmountable. Liangzhou, Dragon Gate, these names stirred something within Li Hao, aligning with earlier reports he had received. The Dragon Gate, a force capable of shaking the entire region, was a formidable adversary. Yet, Li Hao, focused on his own path, didn't linger on it for long. Within the Taoist temple, he found only remnants of demon materials, but nothing of significant value, aside from a few body-refining cultivation techniques that increased his strength by 300,000 caddies. His physical prowess now surpassed 13 million caddies, a force that could rival even the most powerful demons. After destroying the temple, Li Hao turned his attention to the peak of the Holy Demon King, only to find it abandoned, the demons fleeing in all directions. Though disappointed, he had no choice but to venture deeper into unknown lands, seeking the next trial. His journey far from over, deep within the heart of the blackened stone wastelands, where nothing stirs but heat and shadow, lies the lava cave home to creatures twisted by flame and time. Fire lizards with white human legs cling to the cave walls, their eyes reflecting the restless magma below. Into this inferno flutters a black-winged sparrow, shifting upon landing into a young girl cloaked in eerie grace. With solemn urgency, she bows before the triad of snakeheads that rise from the molten Korea, colossal red-scaled python, its presence drenched in demonic majesty. The air trembles as she delivers her message. A new alliance forged, a realm poised for invasion, and former lords scattered like ashes. Her voice, steady yet cautious, carries warnings of shifting powers and vacant thrones, an invitation to seize what others abandon. One snakehead sneers, another questions, while the central head remains silent, its gaze deep and unyielding as it rewards the messenger with glowing red stone. With reverence, she accepts, transforms, and takes to the sky once more, only to be struck mid-flight by a flash of golden light vanishing into mist, wings lost to a hidden blade. Li Hao, with his remarkable abilities, confronts a black bird of demonic origin. The bird, after attempting to flee, is caught mid-air by Li Hao's immense control over space. As the bird tries to plead for mercy, claiming innocence, it is swiftly revealed that its claims are false, and it has been feeding on the flesh of demons. With a fierce glance, it attempts to strike at Li Hao in a desperate bid for survival, but its efforts are in vain. Li Hao, unaffected, drags the creature toward its lair, intent on uncovering more of the secrets it hides. This chapter delves into Li Hao's unwavering strength and his cold pursuit of justice as he continues to unravel the demon world's intricacies. His journey not only tests his physical power, but also his resolve, making each encounter more than just a battle, but a moment of deeper reflection on the cost of peace. With a surge of life force, the black bird expelled a mouthful of blood before its demonic chi scattered like a fleeting wisp. Li Hao stared in surprise. Had the bird chosen death before even beginning to interrogate it? He wondered if this was the influence of Xianxia Palace, as no common bird demon would so easily surrender to death. Its heart, torn apart by demonic chi, was beyond salvation. However, inside its neck pouch, 2 blood-red gemstones caught his eye. Filled with the rich fragrance of blood and a surge of demonic energy, they were perfect for the little white fox. With a thoughtful nod, Li Hao pocketed the gems and made his way up to the mountaintop. Inside the lava cave, the 3-headed demon leader and his allies debated whether to accept Dragonsaur's tempting offer. The situation was clear. Dragonsaur's assault on Liangzhou was part of a long-term plan, with rewards too appealing to ignore. However, one of the demon heads hesitated, pondering the risk. As they argued, a sudden breeze swept into the cave. Demons, previously dormant, snapped awake as the figure of Li Hao appeared, his aura chilling the heat within. The 3-headed leader's expression shifted at the sight of him, recognizing the young man from the portrait sent by Xianxia Palace. It's him, isn't it? The prodigy of legend stands at the entrance Hao, silent, composed, holding the still form of the black bird they had sent to spy. The twin serpent heads recoil in surprise, their whispers cut short by the fiery glare of the massive central head that searches behind him, expecting an army. But there is only Li Hao. Outside, his companion rests casually on the hillside, wine in hand, far beyond detection. Inside the cave, thick with demonic presence, the atmosphere warps as realization dawns. Is this a dream? They muse, laughter slithering from the side heads. Yet the middle one, sharp and skeptical, speaks, "Human, what brings you here?" Li Hao's calm gaze sweeps the chamber, noting the demonic chi, the multitude, the towering 3-headed guardian. But disappointment flashes in his eyes. No demon king, just another stepping stone. "I came for a warm-up," he replies. Silence follows, then confusion, then dark amusement. Surrounded, isolated, and deep within enemy lines, who would dare utter such madness? The enormous central head hissed sharply, commanding, "Attack!" In an instant, the air was filled with the screeching of countless demons descending upon Li Hao, their movements like a coordinated swarm. Strange, menacing laughter echoed around him as the creatures closed in, but just as quickly, the piercing cry of a dragon filled the air. A burst of golden light spiraled around Li Hao, freezing the demons midair before they were destroyed in a spectacular explosion, their spirits obliterated. Among them were powerful demons from the heavenly human realm, easily cut down by a single stroke of his blade. Demon blood splattered across the battlefield as Li Hao raised his fingers, slashing at the 3-headed serpent. The creature roared in fury as a wave of fiery lava surged toward him, but Li Hao's command over the elements froze the molten sea in place. A single strike from his sword left a deep gash in the serpent's scales. What kind of attack is this? One head screamed while another howled in pain, realizing its once impenetrable red flame treasure body had been breached. The final head, enraged and in pain, understood why this youth dared face it alone. With a roar, it called for the merging of the heads, and the serpent's form twisted violently as the 2 other heads sank into its body. Now a single-headed monstrosity, its aura intensified, spewing crimson mist as it charged, its tail swinging like a crashing wave toward Li Hao. But without moving, Li Hao summoned the manifestation of heaven and earth itself, a colossal force that gripped the serpent's tail with godlike strength. The battle had only just begun, but it was clear Li Hao is not a mere mortal. High atop a treacherous mountain, its peaks slicing the sky like blades, 2 formidable figures indulged in a feast, their surroundings littered with the remnants of both humans and demon. Their dark feast was interrupted when a mysterious youth appeared in the air, his aura concealed, sparking curiosity and suspicion. Could he be from the northern cold country, or perhaps a powerful figure cloaked in disguise? As the youth descended, the beasts, ancient demon kings of terrifying power, confronted him with their brutal forms. One, a 4-armed giant ape, the other a fearsome golden-striped tiger. In the face of their raw strength, the youth unsheathed his sword, the Taiji Qiankun, unleashing a devastating strike that shattered their weapons and severed the ape's limbs, sending him tumbling from the skies. The battle was more than a clash of physical might. It was a confrontation of wills, where spiritual mastery and the fate of these monstrous beings hung in the balance. each strike echoing with the weight of untold power and consequences. The jagged cliffs of the towering peakless mountain loomed like blades that cut through the sky itself, a place not named for its lack of peaks, but because no other dared compare. At its summit, two monstrous beings feasted beneath a canopy of dangling remnants fragments of past victims, both human and demon. The air was thick with ominous silence and the scent of past battles. More gifts from the north, and oh, what delicate flavor, one chuckled, savoring the meal. But their mockery shattered with a sudden gust of figure appeared mid-air, young, refined, yet cloaked in unknowable power. A human? They hissed, instincts prickling. As he neared, unease twisted into fury. The silence broke as a divine blade shot forward like thunder, and in a flash of light and intent, the young warrior Li Hao unleashed the Taiji Qiankun sword. Yin and Yang exploded in a dance of destruction, tearing through illusions and essence alike. The monstrous forms revealed a four-armed ape and a golden-striped predator lunged with ancient rage, yet could not halt the celestial storm. Weapons torn away, limbs lost, pride shattered the mountain, trembled beneath the weight of their defeat as Li Hao stood, unshaken, a force that turned even nightmares to dust. The golden-striped tiger roared fiercely as it confronted Li Hao. With a calm gesture, Li Hao pressed his palm down, commanding the forces of the world around him. The power of his will swept through the land like a mountain, overwhelming the beast. Despite its desperate attempts to resist, the tiger was crushed against the peakless mountain, causing its summit to collapse. Meanwhile, Li Hao's dragon sword gleamed with golden light, slicing through the massive form of the four-armed ape with swift precision, cutting through its body and decapitating it in a flash. The sword's light pierced through the mountain, leaving behind a shrill scream and a final roar as both great demons perished. As the sword returned to its sheath, Li Hao's divine soul reached out, gathering the remnants of the demons for their valuable materials, ready for future crafting. Yet the battle spoils weren't without a price. He turned to his ally Feng, asking if there was space to store the enormous bodies. Feng replied that his storage space was too small for such massive figures, leaving Li Hao to use secret lines to bind the bodies and drag them along. As they continued their journey, a dark blue-winged bird flew in from afar, witnessing the destruction of Peakless Mountain. Shocked by the devastation, it fluttered down, sensing the fading traces of the demons. With a quick motion, it extracted a jade whistle from its wings and sounded a call, signaling a warning to the unseen forces of the realm. As the war drums of the demon realm echo louder, Li Hao strides deeper into perilous lands, the tension in the air thick with danger. Even as the Four Stands realm cloaks him in protection, demons stir, sensing weakness in this territory far from the Divine Dynasty's grasp. With every step, the young warrior's resolve deepens, venturing further than most dare, enticing the waiting demons to emerge. When a mysterious bird arrives, delivering the news of his incredible feats, the demons falter for a moment, unsure whether to retreat or face the unstoppable force that is Li Hao. Word spreads like wildfire. He has already overpowered powerful beings, and the fear of his approach is palpable. Li Hao's power grows not just through strength, but through understanding the inner workings of the demonic realm, as he seeks to dismantle their very foundations. With allies forming and enemies closing in, the battle to secure peace has only just begun. In the heat of these growing storms, the warrior stands unflinching, the path ahead fraught with challenges, but his spirit unyielding. The clash of worlds looms, and only those strong enough to break their chains will survive. In the smoldering shadow of the Daiyu realm's ancient past, demons stirred, hunger in their eyes, chaos in their hearts. Their fangs once hesitated at the Four Stands realm's divine shelter, cloaking the young cultivator, but now, beyond the reach of the Divine Dynasty, their restraints dissolved into bloodthirsty opportunity. Then, a sudden whistle echoed through the dark ether. The observer froze, his instincts screamed as he realized the boy, Li Hao, was plunging deeper into the abyss. Has he lost his mind? Is he summoning every demon upon himself? Madness, or perhaps resolve. Coldly, it gazed at Master Ming's fallen shell, scattered his thoughts to dust, and erased his trace defiance toward the hidden hand of Tianji Palace itself. The bird burst into flight, wings slicing through molten air. Far across jagged peaks and rivers steeped in dusk, Li Hao surged onward, his blade hunting malevolence with silent fury. But Tianji Palace's whispers flew faster than steel and omen and feathers. On a crag, Black Cloud Lord stirred from slumber, claws raised to crush a messenger, until the bird cried, "Flee, O demon! The destined true dragon draws near." Laughter cracked the air, but faltered when the name struck. Li Hao, breaker of realms, devourer of pride. Even the tri-aspect master undone. The Li family? As the chaos loomed, the Qing bird anxiously urged action. Black Cloud Lord, sensing the gravity of the situation, swiftly gathered his treasures and fled, leaving behind a message. I owe the Tianji Palace a debt, and will repay it in due time. His departure marked the beginning of a rapid shift across the land. Meanwhile, the Qingbird flew off to inform others, spreading word of Li Hao's bold assault on the demons. Some fled in fear, while others, from the Unwithering realm, remained eager to test their might against him and met their downfall. With each victory, Li Hao's legend grew, unchallenged for miles. In a distant valley, hidden beneath a toxic mist, members of Tianji Palace discussed the rising threat. They spoke of the audacity of the young warrior who ventured alone into their domain, suspecting that he was secretly protected by a force from the Four Stands realm. Some believed he had already secured the safety of his path, but his reckless courage now appeared to be his undoing. Amongst them, a young girl, poised and mature beyond her years, led the conversation, understanding the fine balance between fate and will. As the winds of war gathered on all sides, a dark moment cast a shadow over the air as whispers spread throughout the tense gathering. Master Ming is dead, killed by that young man. The boy, dressed in black, speaks in a voice youthful but laden with an unsettling darkness. His words hang in the air, each syllable carrying the weight of an impending storm. The silence that follows is thick, broken only by the exchange of glances between the others, each knowing the implications of this act. Tianji Palace, a place feared by demons, had long moved unnoticed through their territories, untouched save for the occasional rogue. But now, a human had dared to strike down their leader in an unforgivable act that would demand retribution. The message has been sent. One girl murmurs, her eyes gleaming with the cold calculation of one who understands the price of vengeance. Her voice is ice, and the others listen intently. The word is out. The Demon Kings who have scores to settle with the Li family will surely come. As long as the boy stays here, he is as good as lost. A delicate tension fills the air as their plans fall into place, each child speaking with quiet menace, their eyes glinting with murderous intent. But then, a question arises. Who is this protector following the young man? Who dares to stand in the shadows, watching? A porcelain-skinned girl reveals the truth, sending shockwaves through the room. The protector is none other than the infamous thief saint, Feng Boping, a name long whispered in dark corners, linked to a distant and mysterious past. The demons are left stunned. The thief saint? Protecting a mere human? The implications are vast. More than just the Buddhist sect, it could reach far into the depths of divine connections and forbidden secrets. If this ever reaches the wrong ears, it could turn the Li family's entire world upside down. As whispers continue to spread, one thing becomes clear. The young man's fate has become far more complicated than they ever imagined. The tension was palpable as whispers of a rare opportunity to strike at the Li family surfaced. The information was intriguing but lacked concrete evidence. Just the claim that the elusive protector, the thief saint, was shielding the young man, with no proof of any deeper connection to the divine general mansion. Still, it wasn't enough to shake the mighty mansion, as the thief saint's choices were his own, and without hard proof, such rumors were nothing more than slander. Determined to take action, the girl in a red skirt suggested reporting it to the hallmaster, hoping that the elder's investigation would uncover more. After all, intelligence was their greatest weapon, and gathering solid evidence could mean tremendous advantage. Suddenly, a bird demon arrived with urgent news. The Pingshan ancestor had fallen to the young man, a formidable figure who had nearly reached the Four Stands realm. Shock rippled through the gathering as they realized the magnitude of this defeat. Yet some still questioned why the ancestor hadn't fled or been warned. He wanted to see the young one's strength firsthand, came the grim reply. The girl in the red skirt's expression darkened. Understanding the dire situation, this poison fog would not stop the young man's probing power. After all, he had once torn apart 3 immortals with his bare hands. The threat was clear. She ordered immediate dispersal of the bird demons to regroup and prepare for a confrontation. The tension escalated as the birds took flight, parting the miasma and signaling the end of their brief council. The temple fell silent as the next phase of the battle loomed ahead. Li Hongzhuang stood atop the city wall, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Yet there was no sign of Li Hao's return. A strange unease stirred within her heart, as though an unknown premonition gripped her. A grandmaster approached, inquiring about the whereabouts of Marshal Haoshin, a title Li Hao had recently earned after his significant victories at Heavenly Gate Pass. This shift in his title had spread like wildfire, and now, even the city's walls were adorned with banners bearing his name. Li Hongzhuang was caught in reflection, her thoughts fleeting before she was pulled back to the present. The Star Bureau was waiting for Hao Shane, seeking him to test an array. With determination, Li Hongzhuang soared into the sky to meet the official. There, a small group awaited her, anxious for the marshal's presence. However, Li Hongzhuang revealed that Li Hao had ventured beyond the pass to battle demons, though she sensed that something felt off. His absence now felt too long. As the tensions mounted, the search for him deepened, a reminder that every change, every title, carries its own burden. The story unfolds amidst whispers of both internal and external battles, where Li Hao's rise not only signifies his growing strength, but also the rising stakes of what lies ahead in the shadows beyond the Heavenly Gate. Li Hongshuang gave a quick glance and said, "He went alone, without an army." Xianglan, caught off guard, quickly questioned, "Alone? Why didn't he take an army? Isn't that dangerous?" Li Hongshuang paused, struck by the simplicity of the question. There was danger, of course, how could there not be? But the young man had to face it alone. She finally spoke. "The dangers outside the pass are beyond what our soldiers could handle. They would only slow him down." A sudden heat crept onto her face as she spoke, feeling the weight of her own words. Despite their presence at the frontier pass, they had been little more than a display. "Is he that strong?" Xianglan asked, eyes wide. Li Hongshuang hesitated, realizing just how strong he was. So strong that even she, his aunt, couldn't keep up. Perhaps, if her ninth brother were still alive, he could have stood by the young man's side. But now, Li Hongshuang could only think of how far ahead he had already gone. "Xianglan, show some respect," the Star Bureau official reprimanded, his voice cutting through the moment. He had heard the rumors, the sensational stories about the young man and the Li family. He turned to Li Hongshuang, asking, "Do you know when he will return?" She had no answer. When Li Hao left, he hadn't said a word. The official's gaze lingered, sensing her silence, before he nodded. "We will wait for a few more days then," he said, his tone implying more than it stated. "Thank you for your patience," Li Hongshuang replied softly. "Has he always been like this?" Xianglan asked, her curiosity pressing. Li Hongshuang's brow furrowed, but she had no words to offer in reply. As Xianglan watched her master walk away, leaving her behind, she couldn't help but pout slightly. Her gaze shifted toward the vast horizon beyond the city, where the snow was melting under a fading sky. What kind of demon is he up against, she wondered. Far beyond the pass, a dragon bird, glowing with iridescent colors, soared in panic, shedding its feathers like falling stars. A golden divine light chased it, swiftly slicing through the air, its sharp edge tearing into the dragon bird's side. The creature screeched, desperate, as lightning crashed down around it in a frantic attempt to fight back. But the golden light curved, slicing deeper, spilling its insides. With a final roar, the dragon, bird's despair, echoed in the mountains. "I have no quarrel with you. Why must you force me to my end?" Just then, Li Hao appeared, his figure radiating power. With a single punch, the space around the creature was sealed, and it crashed into a mountain. The divine light followed, piercing the dragon, bird's skull. As its lifeless form fell, Li Hao looked upon it with a calm shake of his head. Winding a thin thread around its body, he summoned the corpses of other demons he had defeated, lifting them into the sky like kites. Yet, despite his victory, frustration gnawed at him. His journey had led him this far, but the most powerful demons he faced were nothing more than minor obstacles. Is this all they have to offer? Li Hao thought. He pressed onward, his divine senses sweeping the landscape, but when he reached the caverns of the demons, they were empty, leaving only an eerie silence. Li Hao had encountered situations like this before. His gaze swept the area, his brows furrowed. In the past, bird demons had appeared occasionally, but they were easily dealt with. Now, the sight of them was scarce, as though they had anticipated his arrival and fled in advance. Did the demons from the palace warn them? He mused, irritated that his arrival had been in vain, with no demons to confront. After visiting several empty mountains, he sat down on one of them, growing bored. As he relaxed, he summoned wine from the void. The drink was strong, but he welcomed it with a light chuckle, taking a few sips. Moments later, some small birds appeared, pecking at fruits on the ground. Though they weren't demons, they piqued his attention. Without warning, he destroyed them with a subtle force. He then extended his hidden threads, preparing to trap whatever remained. Far off, a bird demon, disguised as a normal bird, was startled when it realized it had been detected. Panicking, it tried to flee, but before it could escape, Li Hao's thread snapped around it, pulling it into his control. The demon struggled, but it was no match for the strength of the hidden thread. Realizing too late that it had been outmatched, Li Hao gazed at the lifeless body of the bird demon, its suicide a testament to the deep resolve of Tianji Palace's minions. With a quiet mutter, he acknowledged the complexities of dealing with the palace's forces. As he continued his relentless journey across the land, he left behind a path of destruction, temples shattered, demonic caves demolished. His power was a force of nature, unstoppable and precise, much like his purpose. Meanwhile, in the distant borderlands, figures cloaked in demonic energy converged. Among them stood Feng Shanjun, a powerful demon king who was soon joined by a red-dressed girl. The tensions between these forces grew thick, as an even greater figure, Monarch Bai, was expected. But it was Li Hao's arrival that sent a ripple through the demonic ranks. With a calm yet determined presence, he approached, his elegance masking the storm within. The demons might have underestimated him, but the winds of change were already swirling. The battle's about to begin. A young girl in a red dress smiles slightly as she waits for the arrival of her companions, declaring she has seen the monarch. A youth in white greets her with a smile, acknowledging her presence. With a nod, Feng Shanjun, the enigmatic figure from the Saint Palace, exudes an air of cautiousness. Alignment with these forces isn't clear, yet they are united by a common enemy, the Li family. The monarch's grin reveals the gravity of the situation, his confidence unwavering as they set off to uncover what the Li heir has planned. As they approach, the girl in red calls upon a purple-feathered bird to lead them to their destination, her thoughts lingering on how the Li family has accumulated so many enemies. Meanwhile, Li Hao, ever vigilant, crushes a mountain cave underfoot, sensing the coming of a powerful force. The ominous presence of several demon kings looms as dark clouds swirl above, heralding their arrival. Yet, to his surprise, Li Hao does not flee. He stands firm, prepared for the challenge. The demon kings, sensing a protector, remain unfazedly one powerful force hidden in the shadows. As the tension rises, the battle lines are drawn, with the forces of darkness gathering to challenge Li Hao. But for him, this is not just a fight against enemies, it's a fight against the very essence of power itself. Li Hao stands ready to face the mighty demon kings, his gaze unwavering as dark forces gather. Though many come for vengeance, they hesitate, sensing the immense power he possesses. His quiet confidence radiates as he watches the demons approach, sensing their trepidation. With a single command, the battle erupts. Massive demons with terrifying forms clash against him. However, the young warrior remains calm, his dragon sword glowing with celestial might. His attack shatters the defenses of a giant turtle-like demon, cutting through its indestructible outer shell, while other demons charge forward, their lethal weapons aimed at him. Yet Li Hao remains unshaken, his true strength, a fusion of power and spirit, emerging in the heart of the battle as he faces each adversary with relentless determination. This is not just a physical fight, it's a struggle of essence, where each blow signifies a deeper battle within. Li Hao is not merely overcoming his enemies, he is dismantling the very illusion of their power. The war has only begun, and his journey into the heart of darkness will test not just his strength, but his soul. With a terrifying roar, a monstrous creature, resembling a giant rat adorned in dragon scales, lunges at Li Hao, its fangs bared and ready to unleash a wave of black demonic thought. Li Hao stands firm, his expression resolute, as he raises a hand and crushes the force between the heavens and earth, creating a deafening impact that shakes the demons to their core. As the frost arrow veers off course, it targets the dragon rat instead, shattering the nearby peak into ice. The demons, stunned by his overwhelming power, cannot fathom the source of his strength. With a flash, Li Hao moves forward, his fist surging with sword intent, piercing through the dragon rat's skull with unrelenting force. In an instant, the rat's might falters as Li Hao rips open its jaws with raw strength, leaving the surrounding demons speechless. His battle style is ruthless, his power unyielding, a clear indication that he is not merely a warrior, but a force of natura youth whose presence alone signifies an unstoppable tide of power. The dragon mouse stirred, eyes wide with terror, as it realized the immense power of the youth from the human race, far surpassing its own physical might, despite being from the indestructible realm. With desperation, it attempted to shake him off, but the scent of death was unavoidable. Li Hao, unyielding, drove his arm through the creature's mouth, shattering its teeth in a brutal motion that left it dazed. The other demons rushed in, but Li Hao's heaven and earth law manifestation intercepted their attacks with ease, even turning their arrows into deadly projectiles aimed at the dragon mouth. A mist of burning clouds was no match for his immortal chi, which disintegrated it in an instant. With a fierce roar, Li Hao tore the dragon mouse apart, its soul screaming as it tried to flee, only to be devoured by a dragon's roar. With a flick, he tossed its lifeless body aside and faced the remaining demon. A fire lion, engulfed in flames, unleashed a torrent of fire, but Li Hao's manifestation extinguished it and sent the lion's demonic weapon back at it, shattering the beast's skull in a single blow. As its cries echoed in the distance, Li Hao, now turning to face more powerful foes, felt the weight of his growing strength. The demons, realizing the futility of challenging him, scattered, their fear palpable. A fire phoenix, summoned by Feng Shanjun, soared toward him, but Li Hao stood resolute, unshaken by the firestorm. The clash of strength and will reached its peak, as the youth from the human race revealed not just his unmatched physical prowess, but a spirit unbroken by the most terrifying of enemies. Li Hao stood resolute in the face of an overwhelming fiery storm as a phoenix, blazing with extreme heat, bore down upon him. Despite the inferno, he remained unshaken, his gaze focused and unwavering. In a brilliant display of power, he called forth the Dragon Source Sword, his divine manifestation taking form beside him as they both readied for the oncoming onslaught. The Phoenix, an embodiment of flame and fury, attacked with vicious claws, its intent to sever the soul of his sword. Yet Li Hao's composure never faltered. He summoned the 100 refined indestructible body, the Ming King's projection appearing as an immovable force, its fists shattering the flames. Surrounded by a sea of fire, Li Hao stood unharmed, his dark hair untouched, his divine aura unwavering. The battle was more than mere conflict. It was a clash of wills, a test of spirit, with Li Hao's mastery over his divine power pushing the limits of what seemed possible. In a moment of brilliance, he faced the Fire Phoenix, an embodiment of chaos with unshaken determination. Every strike was a reminder that his journey was one of both outer and inner conquest, where each enemy he faced brought him closer to transcending not just the physical realm, but the very essence of existence itself. The Taiji Chankun sword unleashed a mesmerizing illusion, surrounding Feng Shanjun in a protective veil. No matter the strength of the attacks, they were gently repelled, as if brushed aside by the wind. Monarch Bai's voice echoed through the air, laced with a mocking tone. "It can't be defeated after all?" Enraged, Feng Shanjun glared fiercely, but in that brief moment of distraction, the manifestation of heaven and earth seized the opportunity, striking its sword upon the Fire Phoenix's chest. The flames died down, and Feng Shanjun staggered back, groaning in pain. Monarch Bai, while mocking him, couldn't ignore the sheer power of the youth's attacks. Despite being at the Three Immortal Realms, he was holding his ground against a Demon King, and it was a terrifying sight. In Northern Yan, Bai had witnessed a powerful confrontation, but nothing like this. The youth, merely 14 years old, was already surpassing his father's strength. With more time, this young warrior would rise to become a true personone of immense power. He had to be stopped. Bai's gaze shifted, sensing another presence in the void, an opponent watching him closely. If he moved, they would strike. To break the deadlock, Feng Shanjun would need to rely on its own strength. "True Phoenix Divine Blood!" it roared, its golden flames intensifying, swirling into a vortex of power. The aura within it trembled as it charged again towards Li Hao's Heaven and Earth Law manifestation. With a Taoist charm, it unleashed fiery radiance, like divine rainbows tearing through the skies, heading for its target. Li Hao felt the pull of the Taoist charm, a sensation of fate's inevitability. But after cultivating his supreme body, he could now trace the trajectory of such an attack. Is this the strength of a Demon King? Still, not enough. Li Hao declared loudly, his voice shaking the heavens and terrifying even the faraway bird demon in Tianji Palace. The tension in the air was palpable as the battle escalated, both sides locked in a fierce clash of wills and power. Li Hao erupted with immortal chi, summoning a brilliant display of light and mist that made the manifestation of heaven and earth laws shine like a colossal figure wielding a divine sword. The air buzzed with tension as the sword slashed through, roaring fiercely as it tore into the very fabric of the void. In the midst of the fiery chaos, flowers bloomed, only to be consumed by the flame jet. Even as the flames weakened the sword's power, it still struck true, piercing the sky and landing a blow on the Demon King's head. As the sword's light approached, it shifted abruptly, opening a dark portal of reincarnation that swallowed the radiance emitted by the Demon King, leaving a look of horror on its face. Li Hao's heaven and earth manifestation surged forward once more, striking down relentlessly on the enemy's crown. Despite the overwhelming power, the Demon King unleashed a fiery inferno, summoning Phoenix True Flames to counter Li Hao's attack, distorting the law manifestation as it warped under the heat. Yet Li Hao's resolve remained unshaken. Pulling back his manifestation, he seized the Dragon Source Sword, prepared to confront the flames head-on. Stepping into the sea of fire, Li Hao's body was undeterred as flames that would have burned anyone else simply shattered upon contact with his divine form. With unmatched determination, he struck, channeling the full force of heaven and earth into his sword, cutting through the inferno and landing a decisive blow on the Demon King's chest. Blood spilled, and the enemy recoiled, retreating in shock. Even as the flames burned around him, Li Hao stood unscathed, his spirit unyielding. With a final, explosive surge of power, he sent the Demon King crashing into a mountain, leaving onlookers in stunned silence. To witness such raw power and unflinching will, this youth, so young yet so fierce, truly embodied the strength of an unstoppable force. Li Hao's power surged as he effortlessly controlled the very environment around him, forming a colossal hand to tear away a mountain peak and hurl it down upon his foe, the Firebird. The earth trembled beneath the impact, while the beast beneath the mountain roared, blood spilling from its wounds. With a fierce intensity, the Firebird summoned its unwithering strength, turning the mountain to molten rock, but Li Hao remained undeterred. With his dragon sword, he unleashed a devastating strike, the air around him vibrating with the force of his swordsmanship. The sword, imbued with the essence of an avalanche and the power of immortal chi, seemed to summon the collapse of entire mountain ranges. Each strike was a storm, each swing carrying the weight of nature itself. As the Firebird struggled to break free from the rubble, Li Hao's blade came down again, leaving a deep gash across its chest. Energized by the true dragon coiling around him, Li Hao tapped into the might of 7-star lightning, relentlessly striking his adversary with unyielding force. His foot slammed down with the might of the heavens themselves, yet the Firebird, unwilling to yield, retaliated with a fiery, blood-red burst of flames. The heat surged against Li Hao's skin, but he stood firm, his body blazing with an inner force that nullified the flames. With a single stroke, he cleaved through the Firebird's heart. But just as he was about to finish his task, an ancient cry echoed in the distance, leaving Li Hao disoriented. In that moment, the Firebird vanished into the distance, its second chance at defying fate slipping away. Li Hao's gaze locked with the creatures the air, thick with the weight of their shared anger and realization. The battle, though far from over, had reached a new level. Both foes were irrevocably changed. The scene unfolds with overwhelming tension as Feng Shanjun, consumed by disbelief, faces an unimaginable defeat, unable to grasp how someone could possess such power. 3 immortal realms. How can he be this strong? He cries, as the realization sets in this is no ordinary opponent. Li Hao, stepping forward with a chilling determination, retorts with an air of calm dominance. You've never seen it before, because you haven't encountered me. With the stakes high and powerful enemies closing in, the arrival of formidable figures like the heaven-devouring demon ancestor and the 10,000 caverns ghost mother sends a surge of dread through the air. Even as the forces of darkness seem insurmountable, Li Hao remains unfazed, prepared to test his limits against the odds. His unwavering resolve, along with the quiet strength that emanates from him, promises an epic clash on the horizon, where spiritual mastery and raw power will define the outcome. The question lingers: can he overcome this new wave of Demon Kings and forge his path to victory? Despite knowing that Li Hao had already ascended to the 3 immortal realms and had previously faced a Demon King while in the heavenly human realm, the thought of him confronting 3 Demon Kings at once felt overwhelming. But when Li Hao confirmed his resolve, his companion, though concerned, respected his decision and pledged to stand by him in battle. The journey had been long and perilous, but they were more than allies, they were friends. In a moment of quiet understanding, the companion knew that, though he had offered advice, it was now time for Li Hao to test his own strength. With unwavering determination, Li Hao faced the incoming storm of demonic forces. Though the odds were against him, he was prepared to push his limits. As the Demon Kings advanced, each with their own dark motives, the air thickened with malevolent energy and the battle seemed inevitable. The stakes had never been higher, and the path forward would be paved in both blood and spirit. Yet, Li Hao's resolve remained unshaken. This was a fight he was destined to win. Li Hao stood poised before an immense reflection, his powerful image mirrored by an ancient bronze artifact. From it, an identical figure emerged, rushing toward him with destructive intent. But Li Hao was not one to step back. With the heavens' power coursing through him, his body erupted in golden brilliance. His physical form transcended to the extreme realm, turning his flesh to red gold, his hair shimmering like molten metal, embodying an unstoppable force. As he met his reflection's onslaught, he didn't hesitate. His golden fist pierced the heavens, smashing through both the demon's weapon and the illusion itself. Even the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, seeing the might of his ancient mirror broken, was stunned. It had never anticipated a true form so powerful. Yet, the artifact's reflection was powerless against Li Hao's newly awakened power, for his essence was not to be mirrored, but to transcend. With each movement, his strength surged, and with a divine sword, he cleaved through the shadows of a countless ghost army, the air thick with their haunting wails. But Li Hao remained unfazed, his sword moving with the grace of a storm-each strike, clearing the way to his ultimate confrontation. As he advanced, his sword wove through the ghosts, their forms collapsing in his wake. The 10,000 caverns ghost mother, overwhelmed by the power of his attack, faltered, her demonic form cracking under the weight of his celestial force. This wasn't just a battle of physical might, but a clash of worlds, a test of spirit, strength, and the very essence of what it meant to conquer one's fate. With each victory, Li Hao's path became clearer. This was not simply about defeating enemies, but about shaping the very fabric of his destiny, a true hero forged in both battle and introspection. As the 10,000 Caverns Ghost Mother's life force rapidly drained away, her eyes widened in disbelief. She felt a strange force pulling her very essence toward an unknown distance, as if something invisible was devouring her. Her attempt to escape through her divine soul proved futile, as she was ensnared and trapped. Death loomed closer, and with a final, desperate movement, Li Hao's dragon sword cleaved her body in two, her life extinguished in an instant. The Demon Kings, watching in stunned silence, could not comprehend how such a powerful figure had fallen so swiftly. Her body crumbled to dust before their eyes, and the shock reverberated through the battlefield. Li Hao had triggered this outcome with a calculated attack, overwhelming her defenses. Although she had the power to counter, she chose to endure, and in doing so, unwittingly set the stage for her demise. The Demon Kings, including Feng Shanjun and the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, were left reeling, unable to fathom how Li Hao had overcome such a formidable opponent so quickly. Yet, as the dust settled, Li Hao remained unshaken, his resolve firm. As he prepared for the next phase of his conquest, his sword held high. The battle was far from over, but the death of a Demon King marked a shift in the war, one that would shake the very foundations of the demon realm. In a stunning clash of forces, both Feng Shanjun and the heaven-devouring demon ancestor recognized the deadly power of their opponent's attack. Realizing it was far too dangerous to take lightly, unlike the previous encounter with the 10,000 Caverns Ghost Mother, flames surged to the heavens as Feng Shanjun unleashed the Phoenix True Flame, burning with intensity, warping and shattering the sword chi like an unstoppable tide of destruction. Meanwhile, the heaven-devouring demon ancestor summoned its dark, demonic energies, creating a terrifying storm of shadow that obscured the sky, revealing its monstrous true form, a colossal snake with scales sharp as blades. It bellowed and launched a sinister demonic saber that slashed toward Li Hao with overwhelming power. Unfazed, Li Hao infused his dragon sword with immortal chi, his blade shining like the Milky Way itself. As the divine weapons collided, the shockwaves were immense, shaking the very air. Li Hao stood unwavering, his strength matching that of the demon ancestor, and with a single, decisive motion, the battle shifted in his favor. The demon's furious strikes fell like a torrent of dark shadows. Yet Li Hao, his body imbued with the legendary dragon cicada void body, moved through the deadly onslaught unharmed. Each strike deflected as if he were a god of war. His body, tempered by unparalleled body refinement techniques, was invulnerable, and with every step, the ground shook beneath him. As he advanced, the destructive force of his sword echoed across the battlefield, a promise that no demon would stand in his way. The heaven-devouring demon ancestor's power was unmatched until it faced Li Hao. Even the fiercest of forces, like the true Phoenix's flame and the demonic sky saber, couldn't halt him. Undeterred by the massive serpent-like tail of his enemy, Li Hao's manifestation of heaven and earth law stood firm, taking hold of the tail with unwavering force. The ground shook as Li Hao channeled immense power through the manifestation, hurling the demon back into a mountain with a crash that reverberated for miles, shaking even the skybound demons into silence. Just when it seemed that victory was within his grasp, another threat emerged. Feng Shanjun, now burning with Phoenix True Blood, charged at Li Hao, ready to strike. But Li Hao was resolute. With a single punch combining his most powerful techniques, the penetrating invincible fist, he sent his foe flying, leaving a trail of golden blood in his wake. Standing amidst the chaos, Li Hao's form gleamed with divine light, his totemic powers grounding him like an immovable force of nature. In the face of such overwhelming strength, the demons could do nothing but watch in stunned disbelief. Li Hao wasn't just a warrior, he was a force of nature, unyielding and untouchable. The epic confrontation between Li Hao and the heaven-devouring demon ancestor escalates as the battle shakes the very earth beneath them. The demon ancestor, once proud and invincible, now faces its downfall. Despite its monstrous power, its body is torn apart, its flesh ruptured with each strike from the heaven and earth law manifestation. In a desperate attempt to break free, the demon ancestor unleashes a brutal counterattack, sending deadly scales flying. But Li Hao, unwavering, charges into its deadly mouth with unyielding determination. As the demon's maw closes around him, a moment of dark triumph turns into its own undoing. Li Hao, inside the beast, draws upon his inner strength, unleashing a whirlwind of sword energy that disrupts the demon's very being. The beast, now weakened, releases a flood of demonic blood, but it's already too late. In a final act of desperation, the demon splits itself, with a smaller form escaping, but the damage is done. The once mighty demon ancestor is brought to its knees, its power crumbling, leaving it vulnerable. Li Hao, now soaring from within, senses the perfect opportunity to strike, knowing that its downfall is inevitable. With his sword in hand and his resolve firm, the journey to end the Reign of Darkness is about to reach its climax. Li Hao is about to chase down the heaven-devouring demon ancestor when a sudden wave of dizziness overwhelmed him, as though an invisible force in the void had momentarily disturbed him. Upon regaining his senses, he found the demon's presence had vanished without a trace, as if erased by some powerful, fate-defying force. This revealed the terrifying power of the Defying Fate realm, a realm far beyond simply offering a second life. It guaranteed survival, even in the face of death, which made it a terrifying and unstoppable force. The power was so potent that even when besieged, those who possessed it could escape, leaving their enemies to face the wrath of a four-stands realm powerhouse, an entity no one would dare provoke. Li Hao's gaze shifted toward the Phoenix, Feng Shanjun, who, realizing the danger upon witnessing the defeat of the demon ancestor, fled in a panic. Despite Li Hao's enhanced speed, the Phoenix, with its incredible agility, outpaced him. With his dragon soar sword, Li Hao unleashed a golden streak of light toward his target, narrowly missing as Feng Shanjun barely evaded the strike. The Phoenix retaliated fiercely, engulfing the surroundings in a sea of fire. Though the dragon soar sword continued to strike, the flames dulled its power, and the Phoenix's iron-hard feathers shielded it from further harm. Watching the Phoenix escape, Li Hao was frustrated by his inability to catch up. He realized the need to push his movement technique to the next level, aiming for a higher stage to stand a chance against such powerful foes. Turning his attention back to Monarch Bai, he saw the Demon King attempting to flee, but Feng Boping intervened, trapping him in a deadly confrontation. The forces Li Hao faced were growing stronger, but his resolve and understanding of his own power only deepened, signaling that his journey was far from over. Monarch Bai, enraged by the relentless challenge of Feng Boping, let out a mighty roar. Expecting to stand tall in the face of his adversary, he was instead shaken by the unexpected resistance. As his roar reverberated, Li Hao, with eyes narrowed in determination, charged forward, unleashing his full strength. His might, woven through the illustrated handbook's techniques, surged like an unstoppable force. With a roar of his own, Li Hao countered, shaking the very heavens with his ferocity. The intensity of his power rattled Monarch Bai, causing doubt to creep into his heart. Once, Monarch Bai had dismissed the boy's father as insignificant, but now, facing Li Hao's overwhelming strength, he saw his mistake. As the battle reached its peak, Monarch Bai, realizing his impending defeat, invoked his Defying Fate technique, a desperate escape to avoid certain annihilation. Yet, the path was not easy. The sword chi that Li Hao summoned relentlessly pursued him, but something unseen guided his movements, ensuring his escape. As the chaos of battle subsided, the young girl in the red dress, having witnessed the turn of events, knew that the tide had shifted. The battle that once seemed in favor of the demons had crumbled, and Li Hao's might had proven insurmountable. His power, akin to a true dragon, had shattered the Demon King's siege. Even as the last remnants of the battlefield burned, the image of the young warrior remained etched in her mind, an indomitable force that no one could hope to defeat. With the Demon King's defeat, the situation grew desperate for the three Immortal Realm demons, who had ventured far for revenge. Their attempted escape was in vain as Li Hao, infusing his immortal power into the Dragon Soar Sword, relentlessly pursued them. His mastery of both the flying phase and hidden bow allowed him to set up traps, ensnaring the demons in invisible strings and effortlessly destroying them. The demons begged for mercy, but Li Hao remained indifferent, cutting them down with unwavering resolve. Their attempts to avenge their fallen king turned to regret as their lives ended in agony. As Li Hao continued his path, the echoes of his power reverberated across the land, leaving a trail of death and strung-up corpses. The scene was witnessed from afar by a bird demon of the Tianji Palace, trembling in fear. News of Li Hao's terrifying deeds spread quickly, striking panic in the hearts of the demon ranks. The very thought of facing a human who had slain the Demon King caused them to flee or hide, hoping to uncover the truth of this fearsome warrior. Even in distant places like the Abyss Lake, news of Li Hao's terror reached those who lived in luxury, only to be shattered by the harsh reality of his rise. As Li Hao's legend grew, the demons could no longer ignore the threat of his power. They realized too late that the human had become a force beyond their reckoning, and for them, it was already over. A portly demon, dwelling in the shadowy depths of a secluded mountain, meets a mysterious bird messenger from the Tianji Palace. The bird urgently warns him about a young human warrior Li Haoho has recently emerged, vanquishing demon kings with remarkable prowess. This human, no ordinary figure, has already defeated the renowned Feng Shanjun, the heaven-devouring demon ancestor, and the formidable 10,000 Caverns ghost mother. The demon, initially dismissive, finds his laughter stilled as the bird reveals that this young hero is none other than Marshal Haoshan of the Li family, hailing from the Heavenly Gate Pass. A mix of disbelief and unease spreads across the demon's face as he contemplates this rising threat. Despite his long reign as a demon king, he finds himself hesitant, unsure if he should flee before facing this remarkable youth. Struggling with pride, the demon wrestles with the absurdity of being outmatched by such a young foe, yet the weight of his own dignity forces him to reflect, can he truly afford to underestimate this human? In the midst of a turbulent battle, the corpulent man, though filled with rage, was fully aware that the Tianji Palace wouldn't dare deceive him. With a deep breath, he gathered his demon family and commanded them to leave the area. Using his demon art, he left behind a few smaller fish demons to observe the situation before departing. Meanwhile, Li Hao, swiftly arriving on the scene, summoned his divine soul, which surged into the mountain lake. Beneath its surface, he uncovered a lavish demon lair adorned with treasures, surrounded by the remains of both demons and humans. With a cold smirk, Li Hao's divine soul took on the form of a towering giant, stirring the waters and destroying all life within, reducing the lake and its surroundings to ruins. As he marched forward, flattening everything in his path, the earth itself seemed to groan beneath his unstoppable force. The lesser demons, unaware of the impending destruction, were soon confronted by Li Hao, who effortlessly pierced through them with a single finger, leaving only death and chaos in his wake. His actions rippled through the region, with the bird demons of Tianji Palace soon realizing that he was systematically purging the demon territories surrounding Heavenly Gate Pass. News of his power spread quickly, and soon the demon forces, including several demon kings, found themselves retreating in defeat. Despite the initial chaos, it became clear that Li Hao was not merely destroying for the sake of destruction. He was dismantling the very foundations of the demon's power, leaving a lasting impact on their dominion. His age, merely 14, baffled even the most seasoned warriors, but his strength was undeniable. As his journey progressed, Li Hao not only faced external battles, but also delved deeper into understanding the essence of spiritual warfare and the true nature of power. How did he become capable of vanquishing the demon kings in the blink of an eye? The three major demon forces were stunned when the news spread. But upon learning that the youth was simply clearing the area outside Heavenly Gate Pass, they breathed a sigh of relief. Recalling the youth's and his father's contributions during the great battle in Qingzhou, they wondered if the rumors were true. After all, the Li family wouldn't create such a scandal without reason. If he's truly just following the agreement, our attack on Liangzhou should have little effect on him. One suggested attacking from the east to start small, and if that failed, they could target his father. While the forces deliberated on their next move, the heaven-devouring demon ancestor and Feng Shanjun, who had barely escaped with their lives, were severely weakened. The demon ancestor had lost much of its power during the escape, needing time to recover, while Feng Shanjun, though injured, was determined to use the gathering of demons in Liangzhou for revenge. Meanwhile, Li Hao, undeterred, continued his relentless crusade against the demons. After clearing vast distances, he paused, surrounded by their remains, before deciding it was time to head back. As he returned, the bird demons of Tianji Palace, who had secretly followed him, rejoiced at the news of the youth's departure. They informed the remaining demon kings and great demons, who rushed back to their territories only to find them ravaged and uninhabitable. One demon king, enraged upon seeing his domain in ruins, could barely contain his fury. The winds of change were blowing, and even the demon kings couldn't escape the inevitable. The demon king's fury echoed through the abyss as they swore vengeance, their rage unmatched. The once thriving lands trembled under the threat of their dark forces, as they temporarily allied with the three major demon factions near the borders of Liangzhou. Meanwhile, within the fortresses of Xianxia City, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Li Hongzhuang, clad in crimson, gazed anxiously into the horizon. 2 days had passed, yet there was no sign of Li Hao, her heart heavy with worry. Knowing the demonic forces were ever watchful, the dread of encountering Li Hao's most formidable foes gripped her. Just as she prepared to send a scout, a distant cry reached her ear-son omen of something ominous. A shadow stretched across the sky, growing larger, a dark omen of the demon's approach. But as the figure drew near, the tension was replaced with disbelief. There, in the sky, soared Li Hao, the marshal himself, carrying the remains of demons, their bodies left dangling like trophies in the wind. The soldiers, in awe and fear, gazed upon the carnage. These weren't just any demons they hailed from the three immortal realms, and there were countless of them, all brought down by Li Hao's overwhelming might. The sight was a testament to his unmatched strength, and the city watched in silence, the scale of his power leaving them in stunned reverence. Li Hao returns to the city, and the news spreads like wildfire. The people, eager to witness his triumphs, rush to see the aftermath. Li Hao calmly places the fallen demons at the same spot where the Blackbird Demon King once lay, and when Li Hongzhuang hurries over, she is taken aback. She asks if he's really hunted all these creatures, to which he nonchalantly replies, "Not that far, just a stroll outside." Her skepticism rises, suspecting he ventured much farther, perhaps even beyond the Demon King's lair. Upon confirming that the Demon Kings have fled, she breathes a sigh of relief, but urges Li Hao to take his time and rest, as his talents will surely allow him to reach unimaginable heights in just a decade. However, Li Hao, feeling the weight of his recent battles, quietly laments, wondering if she's inadvertently cursed him. Exhausted, he says he needs to rest and retreats. His mind consumed by the price of his journey and the battles yet to come. Li Hao returned to the courtyard after bidding farewell to a close ally, only to find that something had shifted in Xianxia. The young girl, now glowing with an ethereal aura, had clearly advanced to the divine travel realm at the remarkable age of 13. Such progress was rare, even among the gifted, marking her as a true talent. As they exchanged words, Xianxia noticed his torn clothes and immediately expressed her concern. Li Hao reassured her with a smile, claiming his wounds were but minor, already healed. As she ran to fetch him new clothes, Li Hao sought solace in the tea room, where the silence was a brief respite after the chaos of battle. After refreshing himself, he went to a quiet hilltop, setting up a tea table alone with a quiet reflection. His mind shifted to deeper matters, and soon his old ally appeared, floating like a breeze, bringing the moment back to focus. Together, they sat, prepared for what was to come, but not before pondering the weight of the battles ahead, both external and within. Li Hao and Feng Boping share a rare moment of peace as they sit atop a hill, drinking tea amidst the tranquil winds of a world recovering from battle. Though Feng initially declines the tea, he cannot resist its warmth, savoring the moment with a contented smile. The world around them hints that spring is approaching, signaling new beginnings. After their quiet tea ceremony, Li Hao returns to his courtyard, where Xianxia, ever concerned, notices the subtle shifts in his power. She wonders aloud when she might catch up to him, her cultivation advancing rapidly but still trailing behind his. Li Hao, ever reassuring, promises to come down the mountain to see her, his words carrying the weight of both affection and responsibility. As the days unfold, warriors arrive at Li Hao's courtyard, eager to serve under his banner. And he, ever the strategist, takes it upon himself to assess their strengths and assign roles. The calm of these moments, filled with quiet conversations and decisions, is the calm before a storm, a reminder that even in peace, preparation is key. Li Xuanli's voice echoed with certainty as he dismissed Li Wushuang's concerns, explaining that the seemingly trivial demon group was likely a smokescreen for something much more sinister. His mind raced through the layers of deception, theorizing that this could be a trap within a trap, a strategy devised by the great demons themselves. Yet, there was a quiet hesitation, a flicker of doubt that perhaps his suspicions were too far-fetched. With a final nod to his daughter, he set his focus on securing their realm, dispatching urgent letters to key allies. Each word he wrote carried the weight of a deepening conspiracy. Qingzhou, the eastern frontier, and even the far-reaching Heavenly Gate Pass were all under threat. His thoughts, ever so sharp, sharpened further when he considered the precarious position of his allies. Li Xuanli knew that each move, each letter, could be the turning point in a battle he was not yet sure of. The delicate balance of power teetered, and within this web of traps, one misstep could mean the end of everything. The dark clouds of war gathered ever closer as the unseen forces stirred, and his strategic mind prepared for what was coming. Would they fall victim to the demonic plots, or would they rise above the traps set before them? Li Xuanli's voice was sharp, his words cutting through the air like a blade. Of course, further investigation, he said, his irritation palpable. Li Wushuang stood frozen, her surprise mirrored in her wide eyes. The demons her team had faced, mere pawns in the grand scheme, couldn't possibly have knowledge of anything strategic. Are you suggesting this is a trap within a trap? She asked, voice trembling. Li Xuanli nodded, a grim expression on his face, but added, or perhaps I'm overthinking. Either way, I will investigate further. You rest easy. With a heavy heart, Li Wushuang nodded and left, unaware of the brewing storm in her father's mind. Alone, Li Xuanli's face hardened. His thoughts raced as he summoned his aid, sending letters to far-off lands, warning of potential demonic threats. The demons could be a distraction, a feint, or worse part of a grander scheme. With a glance toward the horizon, he considered all possibilities, his worry turning into resolve. The fate of his realm, his allies, and perhaps even his family hung in the balance. In the depths of the shadowy landscape, a figure cloaked in black stood, his presence as mysterious as the night itself. That's the place guarded by the general up ahead, he murmured, the weight of unspoken plans in his words. The other, a man draped in a crimson gold robe, burned with vengeance, his eyes aflame with a desire for retribution. I know what you're thinking, the figure in black continued, his voice deep and steady, but charging in now would only draw their attention, tipping them off like disturbing the grass to alert the snake. The tension in the air was palpable as the crimson-robed man, none other than Feng Shanjun, gritted his teeth. His blood boiled, yet he restrained himself, aware that a rash attack would ruin their chances. I'm not acting out of impulse, he replied, the fire in his eyes not just from anger but from the resolve to exact his revenge. The shadowed figure nodded with a knowing smile. Patience, Feng Shanjun. In a year, when the elder emerges, we'll have our opportunity, and that brat will be dealt with then. The promise lingered, a dark oath to be fulfilled. Yet Feng Shanjun's eyes remained locked on the distant fortress, the embers of fury burning deeper. Li Tiangang is mine to destroy, he swore, as the plans unfolded in silence. Meanwhile, within the fortified walls of Heavenly Gate Pass, new soldiers enlisted, the weight of their commitment to protect Konga City evident in their resolute expressions. Li Hao, ever the strategic mind, oversaw their registration, ensuring that their sacrifice would not go unnoticed. The gravity of his role as the military commander, with his connection to the very life force of the city, was felt in every decision, each movement marked by the weight of responsibility. As the array protecting the city hummed with power, the very air seemed to pulse with the energy of 5 ancient demons whose spirits were bound to defend the city. A fortress not just of stone and iron, but of spirit and soul, Li Hao stood vigilant, watching as the array's power swelled, ready to protect against the looming threat. For him, the battle was never just about strength. It was about understanding, about harnessing the power of the earth and the stars to turn the tide of war. Every move, every thought, was a step toward a future where peace might finally reign. Yet the horizon, still shrouded in darkness, held secrets he could not yet fathom. A strange child in plain orange clothes, no older than 8, appeared before the soldiers. Though young, the child's eyes were far older, carrying an unsettling weight. Led into the courtyard, the child observed a Sinea girl practicing her swordplay with focus, and a boy casually sketching, his white fox companion laying lazily at his feet. The child flinched as their eyes met, nervously approaching the boy. Commander! The boy, Li Hao, glanced up only for a moment, continuing his sketch of a grotesque corpse in the distance, a detached calm about him. His divine soul, high above the courtyard, saw it clearly, the bloated figure of a ghostly mother, lingering beyond the bamboo fence. Even in the face of such darkness, Li Hao's focus remained unshaken, his mastery over both sword and spirit continuing to grow. The bird demon, taking the form of a young child dressed in simple orange clothes, was escorted by soldiers into a bamboo-fenced courtyard. As the child observed the surroundings, their eyes fell upon a girl practicing swordplay and a boy calmly sketching on a distant bench. At the boy's feet, a small white fox lazily glanced at him. The boy, startled by the sight, approached a figure known as the commander, his expression tense. From Tianji Palace? Li Hao, who was focused on sketching a grim scene in the distance, did not look up. His divine soul, elevated high in the sky, allowed him to see beyond the courtyard's fence, where the bloated body of a ghostly figure loomed in the distance. In this fleeting moment, the true nature of Li Hao's inner strength began to unfurl. His gaze remained calm, yet the tension of what was unfolding around him hinted at the impending struggles that lay ahead, as dark forces gathered in the shadows.